It's now time for your Hip Hop Report with Ozman the Wizard. Kicking off right now.
Yeah, what's good? Ozman the Wizard here. WWE superstar, Mr. Sami Zayn on the line. We got him on the line. What's good, Sami?
Happy to be here, man. Thanks for having me.
Hey, I think I should have answered you with a little bit of ole, 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 ole. I know you probably hear that all the time, right?
No, it's always nice to hear it because, you know, that chant goes way, way back, early years of my career. So it's pretty remarkable, and I still hear it every now and again.
Yeah, that's El Generico, correct?
Yeah, well, that's what they say.
Oh, that's El Generico. I got you.
I can't confirm or deny that.
Okay, well. So how you holding up right now? I know you had an interesting path towards WrestleMania, but now you got the ring general Gunther Intercontinental Championship.
I mean, yeah, it's a pretty exciting match. I think there's a lot of people who would love to be in that position. I personally think that, with the way he's been built and the way he's been champion for 2 years, I think outside of challenging Roman, which Cody is doing this year, I think it's pretty much the biggest match you could have. So I'm very grateful to have that match. And he's just obviously very, very good in the ring. Everybody has seen that. So you know that the match is going to be fought with 100% intensity. So I'm just hoping it's something the fans enjoy as well.
I'm looking forward to seeing it. You got history with the Intercontinental title. As a matter of fact, when the world shut down in 2020, you were Intercontinental champion, and then it created that situation with the dual champions and all of that. So you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, actually, it's funny because I think that was really the starting off point for my career taking off, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Because I got to do a lot of really fun character stuff from that point forward, and I think that was really when the company had really started to see something in me. More than just being, good in the ring and all that kind of thing. I think they started to see a bit more of me from the character side of things, and I really think from winning that first Intercontinental title, everything's been kind of just better and better since then.
Yes.
In fact, that the very title, the literal championship belt that Gunther's holding there, I actually introduced that.
I remember that.
Yeah, Shinsuke was the Intercontinental title, and I was sort of managing him, or I was his mouthpiece.
He had the old white belt, and then you switched it.
All right, here's the new one now. So I won that one, I think, more than anybody else has. I won it 3 times, so I feel a connection specifically to that Intercontinental Championship.
So besides Gunther, you're the one most associated with that particular design.
At least in my head, yeah.
I would say yes. Sami, you might want to think of that because each championship I think of who's the first person I think of, probably Gunther, then Sami. You're probably the one most associated with that design.
To give Gunther full credit, he has taken that championship and really made it synonymous with him.
Yeah.
So I think he did do a great job with it as champion. So I think that's fair to say that he's the first one you would think of with that, and that's all well and good. But now I'm in a position to hopefully change that perception.
Take that top spot back. You remember where you introduced that title at? I believe it was right here in my hometown of Chicago.
Okay. Yeah. I'm not very good at remembering what we did in what arenas. Very rarely do I remember.
Okay.
Very rarely will I walk into an arena and go, "Oh, I remember this is where we did this." I'm not great at that. And that's because, our production people are so good at making every
packages.
Every place kind of look the same,
Yeah.
Impressive.
Absolutely. We shift from the Intercontinental title. I'm just going to go through a few highlights of the Sami Zayn journey. We'll start back in NXT. When you won the title from Neville, who's hot now, but I remember what happened right after that, though. A guy who's been linked to the hip with really since the beginning of your career. KO came and powerbomb on the apron.
Yeah, it's crazy that was, goodness, what was it? Almost 11 years ago now.
Wow.
People talk about that a lot to this day, So I've been very lucky in my career to have been a part of some really great stories or really great moments and things like that. And a lot of that stuff, I get people talking to me still about NXT stuff with Pac or Neville or Kevin or Nakamura.
Nakamura, his debut was against you, I believe.
That's right. Yeah. So it was my last match in NXT and his first match in NXT.
Yeah.
So it was pretty special, and the crowd that night was incredible. The match was just all the stars lined up, and it was really just a great match. One of my favorites. And right now, up until the stuff with even Johnny Knoxville and
I was gonna go there. Yeah, that was gonna be my next.
And the Bloodline and all that.
It's like you went from the Intercontinental title to ending up in the mousetrap with Johnny Knoxville. All that happened like almost like back to back to back. It's crazy.
I think there was a year in there.
Well, you were saying, I remember, you were wearing a T-shirt, doing the documentary trying to, it's a conspiracy. That's what led to John. That's what I remember.
Yeah, actually, I think that led to the match with Kevin Owens first at that WrestleMania.
Yeah.
But then I was still kind of on the tail end of that character, and it transitioned into that stuff with Knoxville, where the character was kind of off the deep end a little bit. But that documentary stuff was some of my favorite stuff I've ever done, character-wise. That was really fun. I kind of always wish that I could have done it in front of a live crowd.
Yes. That was during the pandemic. You're right.
That's probably some of my favorite stuff I've ever done.
Yeah.
Certainly character-wise.
And I remember Knoxville, then you put your number out there, your actual number.
I was thinking of that yesterday, actually. Funny enough that you bring that up. Because I thought, man, that was some of the coolest thing I've ever done. One of the coolest things I've ever done. Ever in my career, which is just such an unorthodox way to build a match.
Yeah.
Where I was actually engaging with fans. I was answering the phone and
it felt real. That's what was unique about it. I'm like, this is real life right here. They really calling this dude.
Called, and I would answer, and just like their reaction sometimes, like, no way. But like, why? Why are you calling me? Like, this isn't really Sami Zayn. Like, of course it is. You called me.
Right.
And then we'd get into it, and it was just engaging with fans in a way that is so unorthodox and was just so cool. Man, that was really, really special.
Something similar that happened to Cardi B like some years back. Her number got out there, and I actually called and it was really her. So I had a similar reaction, probably. Yes. When I saw it, I said, let's call. Let me see it. And it was actually her. I'm like, okay, they wasn't lying. It was her real number. Somebody leaked out there.
I'm sure she wasn't as thrilled to hear from you as maybe I would have been. If,
it was late night, so she did sound pretty annoyed. Let's go back to the Jackass match, or the journey towards that match. Like I said, you went from the Intercontinental title, conspiracy stuff, Kevin Owens at WrestleMania, which, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't that the introduction of Logan Paul? I think so. You're linked to Logan as well, like as far as Logan Paul introduction to the WWE audience, like you were part of that.
Yep. That was because I needed him to help me get eyes on the documentary. That was the whole reason he was involved, and that led to the match with Kevin, with Logan at ringside, and then I did the Jackass stuff with
you ended up in the mousetrap.
And I'm very proud of that match. I had a lot of fun with that. And full credit to Johnny Knoxville, as much as I don't like to give him credit for anything.
On paper, that shouldn't have worked, but for whatever reason, the match was phenomenal.
It's cool to still be able to do that once in a blue moon because, I'm pretty lucky. I would say that I have a pretty decent reputation with wrestling fans because they've been watching me for a while.
Yeah.
And hopefully by now they know, like, okay, you're going to get a good match out of this. But every now and again, like something like Johnny Knoxville, where people had very low expectations or no expectations.
He was like, why is Sami in this spot? And then after the match, was like, okay, I get it now.
Or had no idea what to expect. And I think that was the refreshing thing, is people had no idea what the match was going to be.
Yeah.
Because if you look at other celebrity matches, like the celebrities more or less just came in and wrestled as if they were WWE superstars themselves.
Pretty much.
Johnny Knoxville didn't do that.
He was doing Jackass stuff.
He brought himself to the table.
Yeah.
And I brought myself to the table, and I think that marriage is what made it so memorable and so special even to me. I still hold that in very high regards, that match.
WrestleMania. That's what wrestling is about. It's not about like match quality. It's about the moments, and you got a lot of those.
The thing about the Johnny Knoxville match is I actually do think it, people say that like it's not about the match or it's about moments and things like that. But part of that I do agree with. But I think in the case of the Johnny Knoxville thing, I still will defend the idea that it was actually a very good match.
It was.
It wasn't just about the one or two things that you remember, like the mousetrap or whatever. In fact, there's a lot of things I think that really jump out. Like Wee Man, body slamming and all that.
Oh,
but
yeah.
If you actually watch the match beginning to end, it's a very coherent story, and it's very clearly defined characters, and you can follow the action, and you understand what you're seeing. So I think it's a very effective wrestling match, but that's a different thing for me. That's a different conversation altogether.
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay, then we go from there into Bloodline stuff, which is probably your most memorable work, I would say, in my opinion.
I think a lot of fans would say the same. Very, very proud of that one, too. There's no question.
Yeah,
very, very special time.
Once again, we're looking like, okay, how is this going to work? I compared it to, since Sami is the Disco Inferno to like the NWO. That's how I looked at it going there. But then it became something totally different as it started building. I was like, oh, okay. I was totally invested by then.
Yeah. It was a little rocky there at the start for sure. I think the key to the story from the jump, from when I first even suggested it or talked to Roman or whoever about it, the key to the story was really the dynamic between Sami Zayn and Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
The story in the first couple of months, like either by design or by accident or whatever, it percolated for a while before those two characters were ever on screen together.
Yeah.
A lot of keep away. The Usos were kind of keeping me away. Heyman was keeping me away. I was kind of being discarded.
Yeah, it would be a Sami segment with the Bloodline and then a Roman segment with the Bloodline, but it never interacted for a while.
Finally, when those stars kind of aligned and it didn't go the way you expected it to go, that was the magic. You know what I mean? The magic was you would assume that, okay, they have no time for this guy. And once he finally gets face-to-face with Roman, Roman's going to have no time for this guy. But the swerve is like Roman gets
kind of like him.
See something here, and like, no, this guy's all right. And to me, that was the magic of it all. So when we finally got there, I think that's when things got really special.
Yes. Let's talk about the feeling Uzi. That's what I want to talk about.
Yeah, the stuff that came out of it after is, I guess, so memorable, and I'm really grateful that fans hold it in such high regard, because I don't think there's ever really been a storyline quite like that before. And I do think that after its success, I do think people will try to emulate the structure of that story.
Yeah.
In the level of, first of all, in duration, to have a longer form story like that, and in terms of layers and things like that, I think people will try to. I think that would be maybe the future of wrestling storytelling. But again, I don't know if anybody will quite be able to pull it off because of the level of depth we had from all these different characters. That's what also made it so good, is you got to see Jimmy Uso really emerge, and Jey Uso really emerge. Heyman is so well defined, and then Solo is so well defined.
Solo got his in. And each one had their own defined character. Like, you remember when it started, Jimmy liked you, Jey didn't. And then by the time Jey warms you, and then Jimmy and then now the rest of the bloodline, they like questioning you. Like, it was like a whole journey.
Yeah, it was really great. I actually haven't even thought about it, because WWE, just like life here, moves so fast that you're always looking at the next thing. But now that I'm actually stopping and talking about it with you, I'm like, man, that was great.
Phenomenal. Especially when everybody, you cracked everybody in the ring. That's the one that got me. I still watch that occasionally. From time to time, I'll put that on, the Feeling Uzi moment. And like, they all like hiding their face. They're trying to keep, like, Roman included, they all like trying to keep it.
Yeah, that was great. I'm so happy that the fans just have such fond feelings towards it. And it certainly did a lot for me, so I'm very grateful.
Led to the huge Royal Rumble that everybody had been waiting months for. It's like, okay, when is Sami finally going to drop this dude? It built up to that. We finally got there. And then when you rock woman with the chair, crowd just goes insane.
That reaction was crazy. Even if you watch it back now, it hits like a different audio pitch than a normal fan reaction. Like a normal fan reaction is like a, you know, and this was like it just was sharper and higher. It was like it came from a different part of their bodies. That it just changed the sound of the reaction. It was so cool.
And it got so crazy that people actually were thinking about, what about Sami Roman instead of Cody Roman? That's how crazy it got. Like, people really wanted Sami Zayn at Mania.
It was there. It was right there if you wanted it, you know, and it didn't go in that direction, but it was there. So I'll forever kind of think that it was cool that it wasn't out of the realm of possibility.
Yeah. A lot of people in the wrestling circles were like, what about, why not Sami? It's there.
I felt the same way.
Okay.
I mean, because the story had been told for so long that it was right there. But, you know, Cody had his own story, and obviously now, with how things have gone, Cody's doing great. So I think everybody kind of won.
So how do you feel about that? Like the way it's gone with The Rock being back now. How do you think? How do you think you would have played that if you were still a part of the Bloodline situation?
Well, look, without pulling the curtain back too much, I was very, very, very involved in like the micro details.
Yes.
Of these little, maybe too much even.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there were times people were like, oh, come on. But I cared maybe too much, but I cared so much about the little details because those little details just kept us on track. And I think one of the big hiccups for what happened with The Rock and Cody and like the weird backlash that happened, because everybody wanted to see Rock and Roman.
For years, that dream match. It just not this year.
Of all dream matches.
Yeah.
But I think creatively they stumbled a little bit somehow, somewhere along the lines in the execution of how to bring it forward.
Yeah.
And that's those sort of things are like the micro details that I fight about a lot. To just keep it coherent and to keep it making sense and interesting and in a way that I think fans will respond to in a positive way. And I think somewhere in there was just a hiccup because there was an assumption and a justified assumption that people won't care because they want to see this match so badly. But because Cody's story had been told over almost 2 years, it's like, wait a minute, fans kind of felt like, wait, we sunk all this emotional energy into this.
Especially after WrestleMania last year, people are okay, like now we got back here, like you kept it hot. In fact, you got it back to a boil. It's like, and now you're pivoting to The Rock. It's like,
it was more than understandable to assume that we could just switch places and it'll be fine. But I think I would have just been a bit more judicious about the execution. From a story perspective and character perspective, because I think these things are so delicate, especially now with the internet and social media. Like it's so delicate. If you play things wrong even a little bit, sometimes the backlash is, but why did they do this? Or
why did Cody win the Rumble? Just have The Rock show up at 30 and win if you were going to go there. That's what I heard a lot. People probably would have complained less than just have The Rock show up at the Rumble and win.
Behind the scenes stuff that people don't know about too, like whether The Rock was even going to do it around. I don't know. I don't even know. What I'm saying is fans assume a lot of things, and of course that's part of the beauty of our business is that like you can armchair quarterback the whole thing. And, here's how I would have done it. That's the fun part. Everybody thinks that.
Everybody's Booker of the Year for Nick Couch.
But you know what? That's fine. They have the right to do that. They're paying to. That's part of the beauty of our job. Is that fans go like, what would have been so cool if they did X, Y, Z. Whereas in other sports and things like that, you don't get that. It's just like the Rangers beat the Devils. And
It is.
It is
what it is. It's no the storytelling is different, but it's a very unique type of storytelling in pro wrestling.
I don't even think people do that with television shows.
Yes.
Episodic television shows. You're not watching like Breaking Bad and going like, oh man, I would have had them do this.
Yeah.
For some reason, it's this kind of unique thing to wrestling.
It's like a hybrid of real life and character with wrestling is weird. Where like when people talk about, like I said, of Breaking Bad, they talking about in character. You don't hear people talking about the real lives of these actors. It's just the character or the behind the scenes stuff. Yeah,
that too. But I guess what I'm saying is fans with television shows, they understand it's a much more passive experience.
Yeah.
So they're basically sitting there and absorbing and ingesting whatever the, sitcom writers or television writers have done. They're simply consuming it. Whereas becoming is an interactive medium where the fans engage and interact and affect the show, it gives them this license to say like, well, wait a minute, didn't you hear how we reacted? We would have preferred this. Okay. So there's more like this fantasy booking type thing that exists in wrestling that doesn't exist in any other form of entertainment, which again, I think is actually beautiful because it separates us from everything else.
Okay. Well, I'll let you go. Let's talk about the show. BMO Center, Sunday in Rockford, WWE Live, the road to WrestleMania. Hopefully we see Sami Zayn on that thing. I'm looking for. I'll be there.
You will see me.
This Sunday is my birthday too, so I'll be there.
Happy birthday in advance.
I appreciate that.
I'm going to be there, and it's going to be awesome. And I got to tell you, like, live events have always been a real source of joy for me. I always think, I even tell people, if you're ever going to come to a WWE show, coming to television or a PLE is great. But the live events are really where the magic happens.
I agree. So I've been to both. I've been to television, PLEs, and live events. And it's just different type of energy, like from the crowd and from the performers at the live event. Different energy.
And I think, like, they're both great in their own ways, but I tend to have a real soft spot for the live events because I feel like it's more of the direct relationship between the audience and the performers. It's more direct.
Yeah.
Whereas, on a television, it's also like there's a third, it's not just the people that are in the arena, there's also the majority of the people are behind the camera.
You got to stay on time.
Right, and you got time constraints and everything else, and you're doing things to specific ends to accomplish certain ends. Anyways, it's not even important. The reason I bring this up is because all this to say, I feel like as of late, with the company being even hotter and fans emotionally more invested than they've been in a long time, even these live events are way more fun than they were even a few years ago. And I've always loved live events, but lately, even smaller towns, we're selling out arenas everywhere we go. And when the fans come there, they're to have a great time. Okay. You're not getting any crowds in any town sitting on their hands. And Rockford's actually historically been a really good crowd.
Yes.
Fans are always really good there. So I'm looking forward to Sunday big time.
Okay. WWE Road to WrestleMania this Sunday in Rockford at the BMO Center. Appreciate you, Sami. Enjoy the rest of the weekend.
Thank you, buddy, and happy birthday in advance. Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Appreciate
that.
See ya.